When I talk about black greats in sports, music, and film, it's the short sightedness of everybody so quick to run to the next, so quick to just move on. And I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. I was watching a recent episode of First Take, and Mad Dog Russo was talking about running backs, and they were talking about Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. And he said, "Well, Barkley ain't even as good as Derrick Henry, and neither one of them are cracking the top of the elite." And I think Kimberly was on there with Jeff Saturday, and they were saying, with all due respect to Mad Dog, I wish they would do that to black commentators and say, in all due respect, people who know to speak on it. Problem is, you don't have black commentators in different fields that are allowed to say that without being called old school or you Gramps or you Unc or you Godfather or you this, as opposed to saying, uh, I need to go and study that. You know, the thing about it is this an era that grew up with technology but doesn't really fundamentally use it to go back. Back in the day, we had library cards and we had, any form of video. We couldn't wait. Most of us wanted to see what happened before. We wanted to act like we were hip and understanding. You got the technology at your fingertips, and you got a lot of dodo bird. These turkeys don't want to know nothing that happened last week, let alone 20, 30 years ago. So it's hard to have conversation. It's hard to put that into context when it's so short sighted. It's just not being, it's like, and you got the information right there before you. So someone tells you about a great musician, great singer, people doing this. And sometimes I watch R&B podcasts with Tank and Jay Valentine, which I like, but I cringe when I see some artists on there when they only talk about acts of the day or they mention this and they don't go back. You never see that with white counterpart with acts. They're not going to sit there and downplay the lineage and the heritage of acts. You just usually don't see that. And that's a fact. I cringe when you don't go and acknowledge and pay homage. Because it's not just paying homage and knowledge, it's also who paved the way. Same thing with the film industry. As they got to acknowledge Denzel Washington. They can't help it because Hollywood only goes at one at a time. Now, comedy, they can go all over. But even with comedy, some of them don't want to acknowledge the greatness of what Richard Pryor was, and I'm going to do a video about going along those lines. But this is the thing. It hits completely different with, how you base things, how you see things, how you reflect things.